And so the question we need to answer right away is, why are you called the Writing King?
I'm called the Writing King because I'm a great ghostwriter and writer. I write books and blogs for people and articles and anything else they want, really, including LinkedIn stuff. And I do a good job for them. A lot of technical stuff and a lot of other things as well.
Richard Lowe Jr., welcome to the ROI Online Podcast.
Amazing, right?
The etiquette and the protocol that you follow on LinkedIn is different than the other social media platforms. It's more professional, more respectful. Mm-hmm. So once you start building out these connections, then I think the dilemma is, what in the world do I post and how often? And there's just seems to be a lot of confusion around that.
Post every single day. Even if it's just 100 words, post something about success you've had, or something you learned, or a class you attended, or an article you read, or something. You want people to begin to notice those. LinkedIn will notice that you're posting a lot. But here's the secret to all social media. It's the word social. Social media wants you to be social. And the way to be social is to post a lot and to comment on other people's and share other people's posts. Liking doesn't matter. LinkedIn and all the social media doesn't really care about likes and things, but you want to comment on other people's posts and other people's things. And then LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or whatever goes, oh, this person's playing the game that I want to play. Good, I'm going to reward him by sending him more people. And especially about the subject at which he's commented on. So if the subject you commented on is politics, you're going to start receiving a lot of politics posts. If the subject is AI, which tends to be me, then you're going to start receiving more and more artificial intelligence posts. But that's the key to succeeding on social media, any social media. Play the game that it wants you to play. If you don't play that game, you're not going to get the views and the likes and the comments and things, and you're not going to get people noticing you.
That's interesting, because a lot of people they're stymied by what they should post. But what you're communicating is, you don't have to really worry about that right now. Go and be social and comment on other people's posts is just as advantageous.
It's just as advantageous. It's probably even more advantageous, but you want to do both. But as you're commenting on other people's posts, your brain will say, oh, I could write a few hundred words about that. Maybe I'll post about that. Or maybe I have something similar to that I can post about. So you'll get some ideas, and you can even use the @ to reference the person that you borrowed the idea from and say, hey, I got this from you. And he's going to come and look at your thing, and he might start sending it out to people. And that's even more social when you start doing stuff like that. LinkedIn loves that kind of stuff.
Wow. So then time, you would think that their objection would be, I don't have all this time to spend on social media every day. How do you answer that question?
15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day tops. Set a time. Do it while you're eating breakfast or when you have some downtime or something. Set a time every single day when you're going to do this, and do it every single day, 5 days a week, whatever your work days are. I tend to sprinkle it on different times of the day. So I like to do a little bit in the morning, a little bit at noon, a little bit at night, maybe 15 minutes at a time. It doesn't take a lot. You just go through your feed, do some commenting, do a couple shares, write a quick post, maybe once a week, spend an extra hour writing an article, or even once a month. You can always hire a ghostwriter, me, to write those articles for you.
LinkedIn's a perfect place for you to start to maybe introduce your book or promote your book. What are some good strategies for the authors that are listening
to promote their books?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they have to find out which social media platform works for them. That takes experimenting. I would say, to back up a minute, they have to be willing to experiment on the promotion. And to back up even more from that, they have to be willing to promote. Most writers as in many technical people's, and I'll just make this generality, please don't kill me, are introverted. They start writing because it's easier to write to a piece of paper than it is to talk to people. That was me anyway.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I'm kind of grown out of that. And thus having to promote means, oh no, I got to come out of my shell and I got to go talk to people. Some writers find that exhilarating and they actually figure out how to promote, and others, they never get through that wall of promotion. It's like a wall of fire. They can never get through it. And they get discouraged and they never write a book again because they hit that wall. They didn't think about it. So you have to be willing to promote, and then you have to be willing to experiment, and you have to be willing to fail, because you're going to try Facebook and it might work or not. If it fails, well, what'd you do wrong? And what, I tried Facebook ads, didn't work. Okay, move on. Spent several $100s, lost, gone, waste paper. Move on to the next thing. LinkedIn ad, didn't work. Okay, pretty soon I got the idea the ads don't work. Not for me. And it's just a training thing. I'm not an expert in that. So then the answer is, do I want to hire somebody to do it, or want to move on to something else? So then I tried YouTube. It didn't work for me, just because I'm not a video person. Then I tried podcasts. And then I started getting people calling in from podcasts saying, we heard you on a podcast. We want to buy one of your books, one of my hardcover books, or something, or actually buy my services. I've had several $10,000 contracts come off of podcasts. That was very useful. I've also had quite a few book sales. So you need to find out what works for you, and you experiment, and don't spend real money. I mean, don't spend billions of dollars or thousands and thousands of dollars. Just spend a little bit. Amazon marketing ads tend to work very well for a short time. So maybe spend $20 on that in a month and see what happens, or $30 or whatever it costs. Remember, they're pay-per-click, they're not pay-per-sale. So you got to be real careful. Those things can really suck the money out of you fast. Google ads are, for me, the money just, it's like a vacuum cleaner, and you got to be really careful with them. So for me, the channel that works best is LinkedIn. And that's because my contracts are fairly large. I only need a dozen of them a year to make a living, a good living. So I can go out there and I talk to people, get in a conversation, and then before long, they want to use my services. So that's good for me. For books, probably Facebook is especially consumer books, fiction books. I would say Facebook's probably a better place, because you're going to find people who want to buy books. If you've got a business book, LinkedIn might be better. If you got a political book, Twitter might be better. Just off the cuff things. I haven't done any research into any of those, so don't take my word for it. YouTube is virtually always a good place to be if you can make videos that people want, that grab people. Podcasts, SoundCloud, things like that work well if you like to talk.
You started writing books for other people. Where do you get that idea? Where do you get the courage to go, hey, I think I can pull your voice out of you and help you represent yourself better?
Well, when I got started, I quit my job and moved to Florida and started all over, and I decided I was going to be a writer. And at first I was just going to be a fiction writer. And then I ran into a ghostwriter and I started writing for him. And the first book I wrote for him was, and first of all, I was taking over from a ghostwriter who failed and who left horrible notes. The guy was from Afghanistan, barely spoke English. I didn't know anything about Muslim culture, and I didn't know anything about Afghani culture. They're different. And I had to learn all of that. Plus, he was in a hurry because he wanted to go back to Afghanistan. So I had to do a full set of interviews in a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sitting there and barely understanding every fifth word that he said. His wife desperately trying to translate for me, and learned all kinds of interesting things. We never finished the book because he went to Afghanistan and lost interest. But I learned a lot about overcoming fear at that point with that book. I did a couple more for him, and then I struck out on my own and never looked back. It really is just a matter of, I believe that we all create boxes that we live in through our life. The usual box is the American dream, or I got to have a job box, or I feel safe. living at home box. And the only reason there's a box around you is you made the box.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of it. You don't need the box, or create a new box if you want. But there's books on get outside the box. Well, why do you even need a box in the first place? Is kind of my philosophy. Just eliminate it. And that's kind of what I did. I mean, when you think about it, I quit my 6-figure job and jumped off the cliff and moved to Florida and started over at age 53, and was successful until now. I'm making more money now than I was making at that 6-figure job just by ghostwriting. And I'm having fun and I have no stress. But back then there was a stretch and going out and meeting clients was a matter of, I have to do this because otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do.